Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Smothered post-session podcast. Smothered, the first original production by R-Cade Productions. I'm Lawson Cade. This here is Seth Thompson, our wonderful director. And here we are at the Smothered post-editing session podcast. Yeah. Let's just let that sink in for a second.
Right?
It's a special feature. You know, this is beyond sessions, because we are beyond recording.
Yeah.
Honestly, at this point, I think we have like one bit to touch up on, but in terms of new stuff or scheduling for a scene, that's it.
I know.
That's
so
the whole
crazy.
thing.
And actually, I was thinking about that today on my way here. I was like, you've done theater before. You always have that. It's always a bittersweet thing.
Oh, sure.
But because you're like, oh man, because we really have done a lot of work on this.
A tremendous amount.
We really have
a tremendous amount.
And
our words don't do it justice.
No, and I think the product will show, though. I think you will notice, and you like that's.
That's the
quality.
idea.
The quality of it
idea.
is good. So, but yeah, that kind of sort of melancholy kind of hit me today, because I was like, oh wait, it's like I only have maybe one, maybe two more times of like coming back here and making sure it's done.
Right, right. I'll be inviting you in, saying here's where it is, and then there'll be like the final screening where basically everything is put together and it's a rough mix. Essentially,
which is super exciting.
Yeah,
it's awesome, but at the same time, it's like, oh man.
Is there anything else? Yeah.
It's
something that's been, because my gosh, I mean, even before coronavirus struck the United States in full swing, I mean, back when we were doing this in March 2020, we've been working with them. We've been doing this. This has been a part of our lives for half a year, something like that. I mean, even
so crazy
more.
to think.
Yeah.
Holy.
We've been sitting on this material. Hey, chill out there, you car.
That's been happening a lot tonight.
It has been.
Saturday evening, downtown Hagerstown.
Saturday nights. Yes.
Saturday.
Saturday.
But yeah, just that kind of melancholy hit me. But like I said, super excited, and I actually got a sneak peek, folks, the other night at this product. Not completely finished, but it's awesome, and I think everybody's going to enjoy it. I enjoyed the hell out of it.
Which really says something.
Yeah.
It really says something, and it said something to me when you said that, when we were listening to essentially having everything mapped out. So all of the dialogue mapped out. Like the first thing you said was you just looked... You looked off in the distance for a few beats and you said, "It's good."
Yeah.
I'm like, "That's good."
That's good.
Because for us, we're the hardest people to please when it comes to it, right? And I mean, there's a few times where I at least, I'm sure it was the same for you, where we just had to put it to bed, right?
Yeah.
Like there's a line we hear and we're like, should we? No.
Mm-hmm. It was like, sure. We'll just take it. Sure.
A real difficult thing, and something to kind of echo what a mentor of mine said one time, is that artistry and business, they don't mix very well. Mm-hmm. It takes a very, very unique individual or group to blend those two facets of like the brain. They're just very opposite thinking. And one of the most challenges for myself when it comes to being involved in this, both in terms of creative wise, but also thinking about marketing and everything like that, was just going, it's fine, right? Like just going.
That's one of the hardest things to do, though.
It's fine.
Saying giving the sure.
Yeah.
That's the hardest thing to do.
Right.
Like, yeah, we'll take that. But no, and I'm not blowing smoke here. I legitimately enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of crazy because, like you said, like I'm one of those guys that's very critical, especially of like when it comes to something I've done,
something
like,
you're doing,
in the arts world, especially because it's just so subjective.
It's
like,
so subjective, and your name is attached to it, and you're thinking about the quality that you're trying to convey, because that transition between the ideas to actually executing it is so difficult sometimes. And it doesn't always come across like you think it's going
to. Exactly. And so, I hope everybody out there will enjoy it. I hope you listen to it. Number one.
Yes,
but
that'd be
it's free. It's free to listen to.
That would be hilarious if you listened to this, if you followed this, but you didn't actually listen to the product
I would
this
say
is about.
You should listen to the product.
This is funny. I mean, we can make quips, provide witty banter all day, but this is for Smothered, so please, it probably won't be released when this goes up, but it's going to be close. Yeah. It's going to be real close. Yeah. We have a tentative release date. Not going to say exactly what it is yet because, I wanted to get a little closer to where it's like I'm certain that's the date. And it's, that way hype can start being built for it because it's going to happen.
Yeah, I haven't been telling. We've spoken about a date, but I haven't been telling anyone the date. I'm just like, it's coming out soon. Yeah. Because people have actually asked me, like, when can I listen to it? And I don't want to give them a date because of that.
Yeah,
because it's like, there might be a little tweaking or whatever.
Because there's a lot of logistics. There's still a lot of logistics to worry about and things that are out of my control when it comes to waiting for certain sponsors and everything like that. That is just something that we have to play a waiting game for. But yes, I mean, please, if you come across this and it has been released, please go check that out.
Yes.
It's just a quick sidebar. You will not be disappointed. It's really there are a lot of things that I look back on, and this is just a part of how you grow as an individual, but you look back on and said, I spent hours on that. Wow. It's because we grow. We all grow. But but for this definitely I feel so proud about this.
Oh yeah, me too. Like, I do too. I actually said right when we stopped listening, when we finished the first run through, and I was like, I thanked you for bringing me on board because it was like, this is a good product.
It felt
and I wouldn't have said that if I didn't think that. So I'm happy I was on board for it, and I'm very proud of this project.
I'm so happy that you came on, man. Like, because I'm glad that because at the time that I asked you, I know that there was a few things that you were trying to work out in terms of your own professional career in the arts and everything like that. But and because this is also uncharted territory, like we've talked about before for you. But like you did fantastic. You adapted really quickly to it.
Well,
and we found a workflow that really worked.
Yes, we did. It took a couple times.
It did because and it was for our actors as well. We've said this before. All of our actors, none of our actors have really done a lot of extensive voiceover work. So there's a lot of initial hurdles to get over in terms of just getting them comfortable into the space and everything like that. But when it happened, and it really started working out. Like once all environmental issues that are out of our control aside, once it got down to it, there were times where it's just boom, line done, boom, line done, boom, line done. And it just really got to a point where we really made it efficient.
Yeah.
And, it makes me excited about being able to finally like share this with people and everything like that. But also, what will hopefully happen afterwards, and
you never know.
Hopefully everybody who is involved with this is happy and satisfied and had a great time to the point where also taken care of, to where they'd want to come back and, keep pursuing this to where hopefully this becomes a lot more of a regular thing.
Oh yeah.
'Cause that's what I want.
Yeah, me too. I would love that. And we've talked about future projects that might be in the works soon. We'll see.
Maybe.
But I would like that. I would love to work on something else again. I think one of the things that helped me in this project was that I didn't have to listen to my own voice. I think if I had to sit there and listen to my own voice, I'd be like, this is terrible. Shut it down.
So we can't cast you in a one-person audio drama? Well, I gotta throw out the script that I'm working on right now. It's just called Seth.
Now that would be the hell of a story.
Seth, how many variations of yourself can you play? Because I've got like 5 characters and they're all named Seth.
Perfect. I will run with it. We would just have to have a different actor or a different director if I was.
I'm sure there are a few actors out there who would love for a chance to play you.
I don't know.
Man, but yeah. So where we are now with this, man, like this is definitely something that you would keep doing. I'm really curious about this because we haven't. A lot of these have been about the particular guest actor who's been on this, but
Yeah.
talk to me a little bit about your directing process and your directing background.
Well, actually, it's kind of funny. I never got involved in, so when I was about 18, I realized that I wanted to be involved in the arts world in some way.
Because before theater, you were a drummer, right?
Yes,
You were a drummer.
I was a late bloomer into the whole theater world, like way late, obviously. Because, I mean, not till I was like 18 did I even have anything to do with it.
Right.
And yeah, I was a drummer before. I was always super interested in film. Ever since I was a little kid, my mother used to bring me up on all the classics. That's so the Jimmy Cagney movies, the Jimmy Stewart, like Cary
Nice.
Grant, like
Yeah.
old school stuff. So I've always been in love with film, and I've like studied it my entire life without knowing I was studying it.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like, 'cause
right,
I was
you're
watching all
watching a
these
film and you just go on
classics and-
IMDb or something like that without realizing it. You start seeing names and start connecting names and everything like that.
I didn't even realize like it was. I don't know. I didn't think of it as like a career opportunity.
Sure.
Like throughout my entire life, it just never clicked like that for me. I was never like, that's something I could do or get involved in. So anyway, I started going to. Actually, that's how I got in my first show.
I'm curious. I don't know if I know what your first show was.
So I went to school I took one class at Hagerstown Community College, and I saw that they had an intro to directing class. I didn't even want to act. I had no interest in acting whatsoever. I wanted to be a director.
Okay.
I was like, that is what like looks cool to me. And so I did that class. It was a lot of fun. And then I was like, okay, well, that was cool, whatever. And kind of like left it alone. We were doing the band thing. I was a drummer in a band called Fallen Sparrow. Hopefully we come back. We're actually in talks right now.
Nice.
So Hagerstown Community, maybe you'll see us soon. But anyway, Fallen Sparrow.
At Fallen Sparrow.
Reverb Nation, you can check us out. Reverb Nation. Yeah, shoot, where was I? Oh, yeah, so
First
anyway.
roll,
so, yeah. So we were doing the drumming, or I was doing the drumming thing, and we were in a rock band, I didn't really want to be on a stage in a theater production. It just wasn't, I was a rock guy. It just wasn't, yeah. And like a punk rock guy. So it was just kind of funny. We went to, there was a casting call for a band to be in Authentic Community Theater's production of No Love, No Power.
Okay.
Yeah, very interesting. Back in the day, back in the Nikki Perini days, when she was running the place, she was great. She was fantastic. She was actually a big reason I got into this whole stuff. But anyway, we went just because they wanted live music in their show.
Sure.
So we showed up, and we were like, we'll play live music at the Maryland Theater. Like, we want our band on the Maryland Theater
That's
stage.
pretty big deal, yeah.
Of course we'll do it. And of course, there was a girl there. And, and this girl I thought was attractive, and she kind of coerced me into reading. She was just like, because she was like, do you want to audition? And I was like, no. I was like, I want to drum. I don't know what you're talking. I'm not going to go read. And she was like, oh, come on. Drummers can always, like, she was cute. And I was like, all right, I'm in. So
I shall impress.
of course, being the dumb guy I am. So I was like, all right. So I went, I read. I had a lot of coaching. Thank God, because I'm sure I was terrible. They really helped me out. They coached me through and made me at least bearable on stage, because they did give me the role. So that was my very first role, was Authentic Community Theater, and was all for a girl.
Did that come as a shock to you when they said, we want to give you the part? Were you like, huh?
Yeah. I mean, kind of, not only because the character that they had me reading for was very in my wheelhouse, like of who I was at the time anyway.
Gotcha.
So it wasn't hard for me. I just basically was myself. Like
the person saw kind of how you were acting and thought,
Yeah. So I just kind of turned it up. Like I was me, but like just like turned it up to 100.
Right. Stage presence, Seth.
Yeah. So I just got up there and did that, and they seemed to like it. And then, so that was my first role was with, and here's the worst part. I am not a singer. I told them I was not a singer. I was like, I am a drummer. They keep the microphone away from me. It goes on the snare. It doesn't go up here.
Everywhere but here.
Yeah. And they opened the show, my very first show ever. They open it with me singing a song on the Maryland Theater stage.
Whoa, dude.
And I was like, this is brutal.
That's big.
And I don't know why they did it.
First role.
I don't know why they did it. It was terrible. I was not a singer. Luckily, the girl that was singing with me carried the whole song because I just had to try and like quiet down. But no, it was quite the experience to say the least. As the first show,
That's wild.
The curtain opens and there's me with a spotlight on me singing, which is what I didn't want to do.
Acting one thing and then singing on top of that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
But you got the bug afterwards, right?
Of course.
Yep.
Of course.
That's it.
That sucked me right in because I just didn't realize that was something that interested me until I did it.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And it was all part of the process. It was like finding out who the character was and getting just a stage presence and learning how to project and all those things were the things that really started interesting me.
The process.
Plus, I got to kind of play a certain type of fantasy in the sense of, like I just said, I grew up like idolizing these old movies and these actors who I still see as heroes, and I got to play out this fantasy of, kind of being one of them, and so I was like, this is awesome. And so that's what really what really sucked me in, and then I went to HCC for acting. Ended up in one of their shows, and it just kicked off from there.
So what was the first show you directed?
First show I directed, well, the directing class, this was not a show, it was just like a scene, but in the directing class, I actually directed a scene from A Few Good Men, which was a lot of fun. That was really cool. It's a show that I would like a company around here to do, actually. But first actual show, I did a lot of assistant directing. So I assistant directed when I was at the Washington County Playhouse.
Okay.
I assistant directed probably like 2 shows there, maybe 3. I can't even remember which ones they were. This was a while ago, folks. This was a while ago.
He's done a lot since then.
Yeah, this was a while ago. So then I head over to Meg. Had some assistant directing stuff there. Like I assistant directed To Kill a Mockingbird. I assistant directed, this wasn't assistant, I co-directed Dracula, which actually Sam Little and I at Maryland Entertainment Group, we wrote a script for Dracula.
You adapted
We adapted a script for Dracula together, and then we just directed it together. That was one of the coolest things in theater I think I've ever done because it was just so...
You're so attached to the subject material at that point.
And it was really like creatively filling, if you don't mind. I know that sounds a little...
No, not at all. I mean, there's definitely creative satisfaction.
Yeah. It was very creatively fulfilling. It was a really cool thing to have we adapted it, so it wasn't really our words, but at the same time, it was our work on paper, and having that...
Bram Stoker had a lot of words, and there's a lot of ways that you could rearrange those words, for sure.
Exactly. Plus directing it, plus I was actually in it, I played Arthur Homewood, and it was, that was awesome. But, so I co-directed that, and then I directed Fool for Love by Sam Shepard at Maryland Entertainment Group, which was my first full theater.
Directed by.
Correct. Yeah. That was my first full directed by credit. And that was incredible. That was just such a cool experience. And I just loved the whole directing thing and getting to work with the actors in a different way, because usually I'm up there with them. And instead of being up there, it's a whole other world, and it's just that was my first show, Fool for Love by Sam Shepard, which is an incredible show. If you've never seen it, I highly recommend it.
I regret not seeing it.
Oh yeah,
I definitely regret.
No,
dude, I did not see it.
Little as Eddie was so good.
Yeah.
It was just it's tailor made for him.
He was such a monster, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I heard things about it for sure. Yeah.
He's just tailor made for that role, and I even told him when we were going into it. He's a very busy man, as we all are, and he was actually telling me, he was like, hey, man, you might have to recast Eddie because I've got some things going on and, blah, blah, blah. And some things might be going on. And I was just like, well, then I don't want to direct the show then. Because he was Eddie. Like, I was like, there is no other person I even want up there. I was like, that's the show.
That's thinking like a director right there. It's like, nope, can't do it without this person. It's got to happen.
Yeah, a bit diva-ish, but at the same time...
Diva for somebody else, right?
Yeah,
it's like, no, I can't. It's got to be you, which is such a compliment, I'm sure. But it's also just the range of the person, right?
Yeah.
It's just I can't because I don't know if anybody else could fit. Because a director is looking at things from a macro standpoint, right? So it's like all the pieces together, and at the start of it all, once it's cast and everything like that, those are the pieces. So you're like, I can't find another piece that can fit this. Fit this puzzle
pieces coming together.
Still tying it together. You know where you are, folks. This is still the Smothered Post Session podcast. Gosh dang it, we're gonna find a way to shoehorn puzzles into this
puzzles
somehow.
will be in every podcast. I'm actually writing a script about a puzzle. No, I'm just kidding.
Dude, spoiler alert. Next production.
It's called Puzzle.
Gonna get a lot of sound effects of puzzle pieces being placed together, and it's just the whole thing. It's very artsy, very esoteric.
But yeah, that's how it all started.
That's super poetic that it started off with you being fascinated by directing.
Yeah.
And then you're kind of thrust into this this performance, this acting position that really, really threw you through a gamut, it sounds like.
Oh yeah.
And then it's kind of becoming full circle to where would you say that you're direct
I would say that.
Okay. we got people with opinions on outside right now. My gosh.
They must have seen Fool for Love.
I directed once. honk twice if you've directed. Would you say that your work in the performing arts is now kind of split? Or are you doing more directing now? Maybe, okay, so before coronavirus, because like throughout all this, it's just been directing. But before that, before the hiatus, the forced hiatus, was it kind of split at the point?
Yeah, it was becoming more split, which I liked because I really enjoy both. I do not want to just get off the stage and just direct. I definitely don't want that. But at the same time, I think I kind of have a semi-good idea of like what my strengths are on stage, and those are good for certain shows and certain characters. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't see myself as a Christian Bale who can just transform into every little thing, and you could put him in anything.
Right.
Almost.
I'm gonna be 80 pounds. 2 weeks later, I'm 200 pounds.
Yeah.
It's insane.
And I'm not putting myself in a Christian Bale category. Don't get me wrong. I was just using that as an example.
Now take me. Let's take Christian Bale. Right. Put them together. You can't tell the difference.
But yeah, no, I don't think. I definitely don't want to get off stage. I definitely want to keep acting. But here's the other thing. So I directed and was in, which I didn't want to do. But
it's a tough position.
I was forced into it because we just didn't have the people. Actually, we had a person, and they dropped out, and then you know how that works.
Yeah.
I directed an Edgar Allan Poe show. We do this Edgar Allan Poe almost variety show every year at Maryland Entertainment Group, and I directed it, and then unfortunately had to be in it too. Dude, I never want to do that again.
It's so difficult.
Well, it's just
you're thinking too much because if you're an actor, your job is to be in the moment.
Yes.
And to either call or respond to somebody else or something that's happening.
And live in the world.
How can you pay attention to the world if you're in it, right?
That's the issue, because you're supposed to be in the world. You're not supposed to be developing it.
Right. And you gather people around. All right, here's notes. So I was dead for half of the scene. I had to be dead. I could hear things. I had no idea what you're doing. But I also don't remember because I was pretending to be dead.
Yeah. So that's something I never want to do again, is act and direct in anything. Just because at some point the other shoe is going to drop. Like it's going to be a problem at some point. Something's going to lack. Like either the acting's going to lack or the directing's going to lack. I don't think that serves the product very well.
Right. It's kind of you start. Focusing on two things, and you're not able to focus on it as much.
Exactly.
It's like I know I'm pretty sure I've said this before on another podcast, but like my own personal opinion, while it's super impressive, the whole I wrote this, I directed this, I starred in this, it just leaves a bad taste in my mouth.
Yes.
Maybe I've just never gotten to that point where I've had that opportunity, but as I stand right now, I never would want to do that because somebody else has an idea I have never thought of when it comes to anything.
Right.
You directed things I never thought of. People performed things certain ways I never thought of. And it's like that wouldn't be, say, what Smothered is now.
Right.
If it was just me directing myself while recording myself while acting. Like, no, absolutely not. That's a train wreck.
I know. And that's another really interesting thing about this whole world we're in is the collaborative process. And like we said, it is so subjective. That's one of the hardest things, though, is sometimes, and that's kind of the job of the director, sometimes, though, you do have to just put your foot down and say, no, we're doing it this way.
Yeah.
And who knows? I mean, sometimes that might be to the detriment of the project overall. But you got to, or it's never going to get done.
And
so,
that happened multiple.
That's such a fine line,
yeah,
too. You got to really.
That happened a few times with me. You would give a direction, and I would think, I never saw it that way.
Yeah.
And there would be times where I'm thinking, I don't really see it that way, and I don't necessarily agree with that. It's not my job. So I'm just going to keep looking at Pro Tools, right? Like, I'm just going to keep making sure that this sounds the best it can. Like, that's not my job. Shut up, Lawson. It's not your moment. And that's the kind of thing that I hope it definitely made this for everybody involved feel very, very collaborative, where it's like, it didn't feel as though people stepped over anything or anything like that. I think we were very fortunate with who we worked with.
I agree.
And there weren't any moments where we really had to like fight with somebody to get something across or anything like that.
Yeah. And well, that was kind of funny. And I think I've talked about it on a different podcast before this.
How many times are we going to preface things with that? It's just so hard keeping track at this point.
But it was cool, though, because you were sitting right there and you were the writer of this piece. And it was fun. Number one, I loved having your input on things because this was coming from the mind of the guy who wrote it. So I would even ask you, sometimes I would blatantly say, like, you wrote this sentence this way.
Right.
Why did you write this sentence this way? So we can tell them how to do it. Because sometimes I don't always have the answer. And that's the whole point of the collaborative process.
Right.
Like, I don't always have the best idea, and I know that. So
sometimes it's relying on the actor.
Yeah.
It's like, how would they do that?
Yeah.
I really don't have any idea, or you consult the writer about, you wrote
and
it like
that's what was cool with you being there.
It feels broken. Is there a reason? And then, hopefully there's a reason or something like that.
But that's what was cool about having you there. And also there were a couple times, I don't think I told you this at all yet. There were a couple times that I'd be watching you, and I could kind of see from a sideway just your profile, and I could kind of see if you liked it or not. And if I could really tell you weren't a fan, I'd be like, well, let's do it again. And I would try and come up with a direction to make you happy.
Oh my God.
Because I was like, obviously that didn't work.
There are a few glances too, just kind of.
Yeah.
Hey,
Seth, fix this. Look, I saw that a couple. Fix this puzzle. I saw that a couple times.
Sorry, Josh.
But man, this was a fun freaking project.
Wild.
It really was.
I'm going to keep going with this since it's always been directed at whoever the guest of honor is on the show. Seth, why should people listen to this?
Oh, okay. Well, there's a lot of reasons to listen to this. Number one, as everyone has said.
He directed it.
I directed it. No, as everyone has said, and this is boring, but sorry, I'm going to say it again. It's really good. So that's number one. It's if you enjoy stories, if you enjoy following a character through having to do something, having an ordeal, and it's very real life that you can really you can attach yourself to it. You can feel yourself in the story. So that number one, I think, is the biggest reason for somebody to listen to this. But once again, everybody on this podcast has already said that. Now, on to the other reason I think it's very, very, very socially relevant right now, which I really like about this piece. And, we've talked about it, and it's got some... We're in a chaotic moment in the world right now.
We certainly are.
In the whole, especially the United States. There's some chaos going on.
There's a discourse.
Yes.
There's a few discourse.
Yes. And I think, at least I believe, this show, without lending itself too much to it, and without taking any sides, and without really being political, it is. And you'll get what you want out of it. Every listener's going to get what they want out of it, which is what the point of art is. But I just think it's very socially relevant. It's got some tones of policing and injustice, and I don't want to use the wrong words, so I'm thinking here. It's just
abuse of power.
Yes, abuse of power for sure, and just the way that people deal with things that in a normal day-to-day you wouldn't have to deal with but right now it seems like it's kind of happening all over the country. So this is a cool, we go to art to escape. And this is a cool escape, but it's also a very cool story.
It reflects the time.
To reflect the time and to make you think and about what's going on. And to see sides that you might not be thinking about. Because there's always two sides to every story.
Of course.
I think this has a very nice telling of those two sides. We have our main character, yes, but the other sides are told as well. And it's just I think that's the main reason I think somebody should listen to it, other than it just being a really good piece of work.
Right. The surface level is everything is just it's ideally a good story. A good story to follow that, follows the kind of traditional paradigm. But then has something else that somebody can take away, subject matter that definitely helps convince you of something, or like you're saying, perspective. Perspective is by far one of the most valuable currencies ever, and it's it can be free.
Yeah.
So it's like, I mean, I'm really hoping that there are things that and like you're saying, people are going to take away things from this that I never knew people could take away from, but that's the beauty of it. The eyes of the beholder.
I know, isn't that the cool
ears
thing?
of the beholder.
Yeah. And that's what's so cool. It's like taking a college course on literature or something. And it's like because everybody can get whatever they want out of anything. It's like when you write a thesis paper on, I don't know, like Tolkien's like Lord of the Rings or something. Like you can talk about all the similarities it had with whatever, really. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or like Les Miserables or whatever you want to. You can find all these different things in it. And that's actually really interesting to me because you wrote this 3 years ago? Or started it 3 years ago?
About 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And started it about 3 years ago, shelved it for a while because life started getting crazy.
Yeah.
While I was getting my master's. And then after I finished my master's and my life kind of hit a brick wall and there wasn't a lot going on, as what typically seems to happen with me when that doesn't happen is that I find something to do.
Right.
I create work for myself, and that's the product of Smothered. Is that I came back to the script that originally was just like an untitled drama, and I read over it and then just kept going.
Yeah.
So it was 3 years ago, and then finished it because do you ever really finish something?
I know.
Finished it around maybe February of 2020, maybe a little bit before that, December 2019, something like that.
Okay. So, my question is, and I think is very interesting, was this just a story you were writing about characters, as in you just immerse yourself in that world, or was it on purpose? Because people will get it when you listen to it. You're going to hear a lot of social commentary. Was that in your mind? Was social commentary in your mind, or was it more so this is their world? Because I've written in those ways before too, where like Dracula, that's their world.
Right.
Now
it's
you
Bram
can
Stoker's
find,
world.
of course, you can find a lot of social commentary in
Right.
that too, especially with the time and the Victorian and all that stuff. I get it, but what I'm saying is you can also do it that's its own world. You know what I mean, like with vampires and all that stuff. So was this its own world, or was social commentary at the forefront of your mind?
Some of the social commentary is definitely miraculous.
Yeah.
Because it was before things really...
Yeah.
Obviously, especially when it comes to the topics of police brutality plaguing the United States, regardless of how you view it, obviously there have been cases of that for years, but especially the hotbed that is currently happening in the chaotic world that we live in, especially in the United States, that wasn't really happening at the time I was writing it.
Right.
The big thing that I was writing it about, other than the fact, again, of just because it was the byproduct of me trying to create what my first audio drama was, which was this huge, grandiose thing that was very eclectic and was very period heavy.
Oh, that's right. They're like the medieval.
It was
thing,
a
right?
very medieval, very inspired by Game of Thrones thing, and I'm I need to regroup and focus on something a lot smaller and a lot more personal. But the real fascination behind it is because I'm terrified of being a parent, as I currently am in this, and as where I am right now in my life. I'm terrified of being a parent because
I didn't know we were going to get this deep, folks.
Because when you have a child, you are essentially programming a human being.
Yeah.
You are the most influential presence in that child's life. And if something happens to that very impressionable new human, it completely potentially ruin them or like set them back, right? Things develop, and like this is this idea of emotional intelligence that I'm very much fascinated by when it comes to the choices you make and how one conducts themselves and how others respond to that.
Yeah.
And so that's where I thought, okay, so it's like that on top of like the idea of like, say, like the concept of a helicopter parent, somebody who like obsesses. It's like, what happens if you like tried blending those two things? And that's kind of how Michael came to be.
Okay.
And it's just like, let's take that and make it really extreme.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, there's been real life cases of that. The one that comes to mind is Jeannie. That psychological study of like the girl that was just in her room. They like kept her in her room her entire life. And she was like, I think she was in the teens or early double digits, but she had the mental age of like a 3-year-old.
Oh my God. No,
it's like that sort of thing where that's terrifying.
Yeah, it's brutal. It's brutal.
Like, and Michael is essentially the reflection of well, obviously what you shouldn't do as a child, but also when it comes to the idea of when you do something, especially when it's a decision that big, it's not just affecting you.
Yeah.
And then on top of how somebody, especially somebody in a high stakes situation, like a detective, a homicide detective, an overworked homicide detective in a field, a line of work, like you're saying, which is super scrutinized right now. A lot of pressure, what they do when they respond to this person who is at the end of the day just crying for help, but they don't know how because they've never received it before.
Yeah.
That's a very long-winded answer about how Smothered came to be.
That's great. And that's super interesting and something we haven't been able to talk about yet on this podcast. That's cool. And actually, that's a lot of stuff I'd never heard before. So, no, that was a great answer.
Exclusive. You heard it here, folks. He ain't having kids.
No, but back to the social commentary. The other interesting part of the social commentary is this. Then this is not giving anything away, I don't think. Something that is dealt with in this story is abuse, and abuse is something that's kind of come to the forefront of America as well right now with the
quarantine
lockdown and with and with these things happening. So it's actually there's a lot, dude, that people could really latch onto with this. That if it came out last year,
right,
it might not have had the same.
And there was a time where
impact.
You and I both were saying, "Man, it's a shame that we didn't release this while everybody was quarantined because they were just looking for things to do. They were looking for shows to watch."
I know.
Although at the same time, I'd feel as though during quarantine, somebody would say, well, this is my only opportunity to watch all of Game of Thrones or like the 23 seasons of Law & Order SVU. Yeah. So 23 plus, I don't know. I'm sure they're still going.
And so the listeners know you are releasing this as a episode format, but you're releasing it all in one chunk, right?
It's going to be bingeable.
Okay.
It's going to be bingeable. People just love that. That kind of reflects the times. As much as I thought, and this is only because I grew up in the 90s where it was weekly, this new episode's coming out.
Yeah.
That's just not how things are today. No. It's like, here's everything. You can still experience the full story, but you have many opportunities to take breaks.
Right. And but at least it still gives them that instant gratification where they're like, I want to know what happens next.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It's completely up to their decision if they want to stop and actually go to bed or not.
Yeah.
Either way. But that's how it's going to be. It's a serialized format of each episode following each episode. So for those out there who want to binge it, it's not really that long, especially when it's going to be in episode formats.
Yeah.
That's one of the biggest things I wanted to do is say, okay, it harkens back to what I was saying about the convenience of a podcast, about recorded material, being able to, go to it whenever you want, whenever you have a chance. It's the same thing behind like why it's going to be episodic or why it's going to be serialized, why it's going to have intermissions and everything like that, is so people can have a chance to just absorb it at their own rate.
Yes. Yeah.
some people want to eat it all. Some people want to take it like a fine wine.
Right.
I don't judge. Whatever you prefer.
Well, I'm telling you right now, I'm looking forward to being able to listen to it when I'm on, like, because I always listen to podcasts and stuff whenever I'm driving. So I'm looking forward to getting to listen to it just in the car driving. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. And there are some just, I mean, yeah, I directed it. I get it. But my direction wasn't everything. Like, some of the actors in this freaking thing are so good. And the highlights, you'll hear it and you'll find who your favorite characters are. But man, I found one. And I'm not going to name it here, but I found a character that I just
People
fell
are
in
confused
love
by my
with.
laughter, but I know exactly who this man is talking about.
This character
it's so funny.
is so good. I'm not going to say it because I'm not going to hurt anybody's feelings, but that's my favorite.
The funny thing is, though, I feel as though I love it too, but like we love it so much just because we know the person.
Yes. Oh, yeah, like, that plays a big part.
And that plays a big part when it comes to, oh my God, this character is amazing because of that.
Yes.
Because this person, they broke the mold.
Yeah.
They broke their mold when we cast them at this. You know, like pat on our backs for doing that. But no, it was something that happened completely unexpectedly. And for us, there's still this huge contrast between who they are as a person and who the character they're portraying is, which is great for them. I mean, it really showcases their range as an actor. The range! Check out episode 10, The Range. You'll get it.
But that being said, everybody was fantastic in this. And I even told you with one character specifically, we listened to it and I was like, that was fantastic. Like this one character, I was just like, that character was way better, like, and a more well-rounded character than I ever thought. Starting out, and we work together and everything, but a lot of it goes to the actor or actress or however.
They're the last line of defense before people absorb it.
And I really think that person made that character something more than at least what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
Which is a compliment.
Absolutely, a compliment to everybody involved here. This would not be what it is without them.
Yeah,
would not be what it is without them. I mean, I feel like this would be an awesome opportunity to plug Indiegogo.com, but unfortunately, campaign 3 is over at this point. Alas, you can still support us by checking out R-Cade Productions on all the social medias and also listening to this podcast, staying up to date on when Smothered is officially released.
Yeah.
All of that, we sincerely appreciate your time listening to this, supporting us, engaging with us, etc. I'm not sure if there's going to be another post-session podcast after this. We'll see. There's an idea.
I think we should, because if we're already done, I feel like we could keep talking, me and you. So I think we should do one more after everything's done.
Like not make this go too long, but I think it'd be really cool to have one last. Because as much as I think 13 is a underappreciated number,
really
I have no
is.
idea why y'all don't like it so much. But 14 is just a really nice even number.
It is good. It's good.
We'll
too.
see.
It's good too.
But what were you gonna say?
I wonder though, what we might be able to do for the last one would be, it could be kind of fun as a post-listen to podcast, as in
Post-release.
So like we tell them, like we put like the little warning, like do not listen to this
There's
episode
spoilers
until
in
you've
it.
listened,
Yeah.
and then me and you could actually really delve deep into the story.
Yeah. Maybe we can bring on a few of the leads as well.
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
who knows? I mean, I'd love to do that. I feel like as though there's so much that we weren't able to get to about this, which is great, because this is just we haven't had this opportunity yet.
Correct.
Because there's always been somebody else, and we've always wanted to highlight them, their response to everything like that, and just add their input to this. But there's a very strong chance, more than likely, we're going to have a number 14.
I definitely think we should. The spoiler edition.
The spoiler edition, where we can all rest easy because it's been released and we can enjoy it.
Yeah.
Because that, at the end of the day, that's what's most important, is that everybody can finally listen to it and enjoy it, and we can go to sleep. But yeah, man. Thanks for being here. Thank you for doing everything that you do.
Thank you for bringing me on this project.
Have been done without you. Can't stress that enough. But thank you all so much for checking this out. We will hopefully see you on the other side of post-release Smothered. Until then, take care.
Good night.